You are standing in your own kitchen at 9:47 p.m., finishing dishes you did not eat from, while 3 feet away your spouse scrolls through their phone. You have already done 15 invisible things today, and they have noticed 0. This is not a marriage problem, it is a perception problem, and perception is controlled by the brain, not the heart. Now, here is the part that makes your chest tight. It is not anger. It is the slow, cold realization that you have become background noise in the life you are working hardest to sustain. You are not unloved, you are unperceived, and there is a profound psychological difference between the two. Most marriages do not end in screaming, they end in that gap. This video is not about communication tips. It is about the mechanism that makes a spouse go blind to the person doing the most for them, and the exact psychology required to restore sight. Here is the counterintuitive thesis. Marriage does not create appreciation, it creates perceptual deletion. During dating, your brain treats your partner as novel stimulus, meaning every gesture is scanned, evaluated, and emotionally registered. This is neurological, not romantic. Then the wedding certificate arrives and triggers a catastrophic shift. Your spouse moves from the uncertain reward category in your brain to the environmental constant category. Your brain is an efficiency machine. It stops scanning constants and stops rewarding you with dopamine for things it considers guaranteed. The result is that their effort stops registering as effort and starts registering as furniture, present, expected, invisible by design. You did not stop being extraordinary. Their brain simply stopped paying the chemical cost to notice. Hedonic adaptation is not just getting used to nice things. It is an evolutionary survival mechanism designed to prevent us from staying distracted by what is already secured so we can scan for threats. In marriage, this means your spouse's brain is literally doing its job when it ignores your daily labor. But the problem is that your labor is not supposed to be treated as a secured asset. It is a daily reinvestment. And here is where it gets darker. The more consistently you give, the less each individual act is worth perceptually. Imagine a man who, for the first 3 years of marriage, bakes his wife a cake from scratch on her birthday. The first year, she cries, posts it, tells her friends. The third year, she says thank you while checking her email. By year 7, he brings the cake to the table, and she cuts it while talking about a problem at work, never once looking at him. The cake got better every year, but her perception of it disappeared entirely. The labor became indistinguishable from gravity. It was just expected to be there. The giver believes consistency builds value, but the receiver's brain believes consistency proves the value is already banked. Two people, two incompatible economic models of love. Now we need to look at the other side, not to villainize them, but to diagnose them. First, there is the perceptual blind spot of privilege. When someone has never had to perform invisible labor, they literally do not know it exists. It is not ingratitude, it is ontological ignorance. They cannot appreciate what their brain has no category for. The better you are at managing a household seamlessly, the more invisible your work becomes, because success in domestic labor is defined by the absence of problems, not the presence of effort. Picture a husband returning from a 3-day business trip. The house is clean, the fridge is restocked, the dog has been to the vet, and his wife has managed a work crisis while solo parenting a sick child. He walks in, drops his bag, and says, "Nice, everything looks good," then opens his laptop. He is not cruel and he is not unloving. He genuinely, neurologically, cannot see what happened in his absence, because the success of her labor is that he never had to think about it. To him, the house maintained itself. To her, she just performed a 3-day miracle that registered as a 2-second observation. Second, there is passive extraction. Even non-narcissistic spouses fall into this, because when one person is optimized for giving, the other person's brain optimizes for receiving. It is not malice, it is systemic equilibrium, and it is lethal. The receiver is not evil. They are rationally lazy in a system where laziness has no consequences. Third, there is guilt discomfort avoidance. Deep down, many receivers sense the imbalance, but acknowledging it would require either changing their behavior or admitting they have been coasting. So they unconsciously maintain the fiction that everything is fine. They do not argue when you bring it up because they disagree. They argue because agreement would cost them their comfort. Now I need to flip the script on you, because the giver claims their love is unconditional, but it is not. It is a massive unspoken transaction. The internal contract reads like this: I will perform invisible labor. I will suppress my needs. I will maintain harmony, and in exchange, you will eventually see me, value me, and reciprocate without me having to ask. The receiver never signed this contract, and they do not even know it exists. Here is what that looks like in real time. Every morning for 2 years, she brings him coffee in bed. He never asked. She never told him it mattered. Then one morning, after a fight about something unrelated, she stops. 3 days pass. He finally says, "Hey, no coffee today?" She explodes. You never even notice. He is stunned and confused because, from his perspective, a free service he never requested has been discontinued, and he is being punished for not paying for something that was never billed. But in her mind, those 2 years of coffee were not a gift. They were a deposit, and she just checked the account and found it empty. So when you finally explode with resentment, they are genuinely confused. From their perspective, nothing changed. From your perspective, a debt has gone unpaid for years. Here is the brutal truth. You did not give everything because you are loving. You gave everything because you were afraid that asking for love directly would reveal you were not worth it. Resentment is not an emotion. It is a cognitive process. Your brain keeps a running ledger of social exchange, and when your inputs, meaning your effort, consistently exceed outputs, meaning their acknowledgement, your brain flags a social contract violation. But marriage forbids keeping explicit score, so the ledger goes underground and becomes chronic micro-resentment. She does not know she is doing it, but somewhere around month 14 of feeling unseen, her brain starts keeping a secret inventory. Tuesday, I asked about his presentation. He did not ask about mine. Thursday, I handled the leak. He played video games. Saturday, I initiated touch. He fell asleep. None of these moments are crimes, but her brain is no longer experiencing them as isolated events. It is running a pattern. And at month 22, during a fight about where to spend Christmas, she says something that shocks them both. Of course, we are doing what you want. We always do what you want. He has no idea what she is talking about, but she is not talking about Christmas. She is reading from a ledger he did not know existed. Each unseen dish, each unremarked sacrifice, and each moment of thoughtlessness becomes a data point, and over months the algorithm produces a conclusion. This person does not value me. The tragedy is that the conclusion is often wrong. They value you, but value without perception is indistinguishable from indifference. And here is the danger signal. When you start keeping a secret mental list of everything you have done and they have not, you are no longer in a marriage. You are in a litigation. This is not a communication tips section. This is a perceptual restoration protocol. If you are the giver, begin with the strategic withdrawal, which means you stop over-functioning, not as punishment, but as information. When the seamless system develops friction, the receiver's brain is forced to re-engage because the trash does not walk itself out and the schedule does not manage itself. This is not the silent treatment. It is allowing reality to become visible again by removing your invisibility shield. Next, master the direct ask. Stop saying, "I feel unappreciated," because that sounds like an attack on their character. Say instead, "I need you to help me feel visible. Here is exactly what that looks like for me." Specificity is mercy, and vagueness is violence in these conversations. If you are the receiver, practice the daily scan, which means one specific observation per day, not thanks for everything, because that is noise. Instead, try. I noticed you dealt with the insurance call this morning. I know you hate that. I saw it. Specificity defeats hedonic adaptation, generic gratitude is worthless, and microscopic noticing rebuilds the neural pathway. Finally, for both of you, run the 48-hour experiment. For 2 days, the giver does only what is explicitly agreed upon, and the receiver must initiate or ask for everything else. This is not a test, it is a calibration. It reveals the actual baseline of labor distribution without the givers overfunctioning, distorting the picture. You did not get married to become infrastructure. You got married to be chosen every day out loud on purpose. But here is the hardest truth. You cannot demand to be seen by someone whose brain has categorized you as guaranteed. You can only disrupt the category. Stop performing invisibility and calling it love. Stop receiving everything and calling it peace. The most dangerous thing in a marriage is not conflict. It is the slow, silent agreement that one person's effort is simply the price of admission. Name the ledger. Close the gap, or the gap will close the marriage. Appreciation is not a feeling. It is a discipline. and discipline is how love survives its own biology.